this. There comes a moment in life when everything you once cared about suddenly feels empty. The success you fought for, this. The validation you craved, the applause you thought would heal your silence. And in that quiet moment, this. You begin to ask yourself, was it ever truly mine? Most people never reach this point, this, because they are afraid to face the truth that everything they chase, this, everything they hold on to so tightly is only as meaningful as the meaning they give it. This is not a message to take lightly, this, because when you realize that everything means nothing, it can destroy you or it can free you, this. If you've ever felt lost in life, confused about what truly matters, then stay with me. Because by the end of this message, you'll understand how the power to define meaning has always been in your hands, not in the world's. Most people spend their entire lives chasing meanings that were never their own. They are born into a world already whispering in their ears what is important, what success looks like, what failure means, what they must desire to be seen as valuable. From the moment they take their first steps, society begins to paint their map for them, a map of comparison, competition, and endless striving. They are told that a certain amount of wealth defines worth, that love is only real when it looks like perfection. That recognition from others means you have made it. So they begin running, not because they know where they are going, but because everyone else is running too. They become part of a race with no finish line, chasing dreams that were never truly theirs. But when the noise fades, when the applause stops and the lights go out, something strange happens. A quiet emptiness begins to echo inside. That long-awaited achievement feels lighter than it should. The new car, the perfect relationship, the social approval, they all shimmer for a moment, then lose their glow. And in that silence, the truth begins to whisper. Everything you were chasing never had meaning on its own. The meaning was only what you believed it to be. The moment your belief fades, the meaning dissolves. That is the illusion that the world gives meaning, when in reality, the world only reflects what we choose to see in it. Look closely at life and you'll realize how fragile meaning truly is. The same event that breaks one person can strengthen another. The same loss that makes one man bitter can make another wise. So what is the truth? The truth is that meaning does not live in things, it lives in perception. You can lose everything and still be at peace, or have everything and still feel lost. Meaning is not in what you have, but in how you see. Once this understanding enters your awareness, the entire structure of your thinking begins to shift. You stop asking, what should I pursue? And start asking, why do I pursue it? You stop living for the world's definitions and begin searching for your own. The illusion of meaning is powerful because it feeds on fear. Fear of being unseen, fear of being unworthy, fear of being left behind. It convinces you that unless you chase what others value, you will be forgotten. But in truth, it is the opposite. The more you run after the world's meanings, the further you move from your own. You become a reflection of what others expect instead of an expression of who you are. That is why so many people live in quiet misery, successful by the world's standards, but starving on the inside. They have achieved everything except the one thing that truly matters, inner peace. The illusion breaks when you dare to ask yourself, what if none of this actually means anything? It sounds frightening at first, almost like losing the ground beneath your feet. But that question is not destruction. It is awakening. When you realize that everything means nothing by itself, you are not left with despair, you are left with possibility. Because if nothing has fixed meaning, then you are free to define it. You can take pain and turn it into strength. You can take loss and turn it into gratitude. You can take failure and turn it into wisdom. The illusion of meaning fades, and what remains is the freedom to create your own truth. When you stop letting the world decide what matters, life begins to feel lighter. You no longer chase to prove, you act to express. You no longer live to be seen, you live to be real. Every step becomes more deliberate, every breath more peaceful. The illusion that once controlled you starts to dissolve, and in its place, clarity arises. You begin to see that nothing outside you ever had meaning until you gave it one. And that means the power was never out there. It was always within you. Life will always bring moments that test your strength. Moments when nothing goes according to plan. When everything you built seems to fall apart, and when the people you trusted walk away without explanation. It is in these moments that your perception of control collapses, and you are left with one silent truth. You cannot choose what happens, but you can always choose how you respond. That single realization holds the power to reshape your entire life. Most people spend their days trying to control every outcome, avoiding discomfort, resisting loss, and fearing uncertainty. Yet, control over the external world is an illusion. The only real control you have, the only true mastery, lies within your response. Your response determines whether a challenge becomes your prison or your path to freedom. There is a quiet strength that awakens when you stop fighting against what is and begin responding with awareness. Every event that crosses your path offers two directions, one that leads to suffering and one that leads to growth. When something painful happens, most people react from emotion. They let anger, fear, or despair take command, and in doing so, they lose the ability to see clearly. But if you pause, even for a single breath, and choose to respond instead of react, you open a space inside yourself where clarity lives. That space is where wisdom begins. In that space, you see that no event is inherently good or bad. It is only your interpretation that gives it meaning. When life brings loss, you can choose to see it as an ending or as an invitation to rebuild differently. When someone betrays you, you can choose to see it as cruelty or as guidance to recognize your worth. Every wound offers a choice, to remain in pain or to transform it into power. This is what separates those who crumble from those who rise. The event is the same. The choice is what makes the difference. And that choice is always yours, no matter how powerless you feel. It is never the storm that defines you. It is the way you decide to stand within it. If you look closely, you will notice that every great transformation in your life came not from comfort, but from challenge. The moments that broke you also shaped you. They carved away illusions, tested your patience, and taught you what really matters. But that transformation could only happen because at some point you chose to face the pain rather than escape it. You chose to respond with presence instead of resentment. That choice is what turns suffering into strength. It is what turns chaos into understanding. Without choice, pain is just pain. With choice, pain becomes your greatest teacher. When you start to live with this awareness, something remarkable changes. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a creator of meaning. You no longer wait for life to be easy. You learn to be steady even when it is not. You begin to understand that peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to remain centered while difficulty unfolds. The storms will still come, the disappointments will still arrive, but they will no longer define you, because you have learned to choose differently. You have learned that every situation offers a door, one that leads deeper into despair and one that leads toward wisdom. The direction you take depends on the choice you make in the silence between reaction and response. That silence is where your power lies. The world around you may demand immediate reaction, but strength comes from stillness. In that stillness, you find perspective. You begin to see the purpose hidden within the pain. And when you choose to act from that awareness, you rise above circumstances that once controlled you. Each choice becomes a reflection of your growth, a quiet declaration that life may shape you, but it cannot break you. So when the next challenge comes, and it will, remember this truth: you are not defined by what happens to you, but by the choices you make when it does. Everyone carries something, a memory, a failure, a disappointment, a secret pain that lingers quietly in the background of their days. For some, it is a wound that time never seemed to heal. For others, it is a burden of guilt, regret, or loss. And while each story is different, the truth beneath them all remains the same. The weight you carry is not in the event itself. It is in the meaning you have given it. Two people can live through the same experience. One is crushed by it for years. The other finds strength through it. The difference is not what happened, but how they chose to interpret it. The moment you understand this, you begin to see that freedom does not come from erasing the past, but from changing the way you hold it. We often believe that our pain defines us, that our failures are proof of what we lack, and our losses are reminders of what life took away. But pain, failure, and loss are not punishments. They are mirrors. Practice. They reflect what is unhealed, what is still clinging, what is asking to be transformed. Yet instead of facing them with awareness, many choose to hold on to them with resistance. They replay old moments in their minds, relive the same sorrow, and feed the same story until it becomes part of their identity. And once you begin to identify with your pain, it becomes heavier, more real, more controlling. The event may have passed, but its meaning still chains you. The truth is, pain itself is neutral. It is the human mind that attaches weight to it. When you tell yourself that a heartbreak means you were unworthy, or that a mistake means you are a failure, you breathe life into the wound. But when you shift your perception and see the same pain as an opportunity to grow, to understand yourself more deeply, to become more compassionate, to let go of pride, the weight begins to dissolve. The event doesn't change but its influence does, because meaning is what gives an experience power. Take away the meanings and you take away its control over you. You cannot always choose what enters your life, but you can always choose what it will mean to you. That is where strength begins, not in resistance, but in reinterpretation. The greatest peace comes when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking what can this teach me? That single question shifts everything. Suddenly, pain becomes a lesson. Failure becomes a turning point. Loss becomes a reminder of impermanence and love. Every burden you carry becomes lighter when you see it as part of your evolution rather than the end of your story. Life's hardships are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to prepare you to see yourself beyond the surface, to strip away what is temporary and reveal what is timeless within you. The reason many people feel stuck is not because of what happened to them, but because of what they continue to tell themselves about it. They hold on to an old version of who they were when the pain occurred. But life is always moving. The moment is gone, only the story remains. To heal, you must let that story go. You must allow yourself to become someone new in the presence of the same memory. The past cannot imprison you unless you keep visiting it with the same thoughts. Forgiveness, acceptance, and release are not signs of weakness. They are acts of strength. They are choices that reclaim your energy from what no longer serves you. When you stop giving your pain meaning that disempowers you, something beautiful happens. You begin to walk lighter. You begin to see the same world differently. You realize that your suffering was not there to punish you, but to awaken you. Every scar becomes a reminder that you have survived. Every loss becomes proof of how deeply you have loved. The weight you carry transforms into wisdom, and your story turns from one of struggle into one of resilience. That is the quiet mastery of life. To live through the storms, not untouched, but unbroken. Because you finally understand that the meaning of your pain is yours to decide. There comes a moment when you grow tired of living according to everyone else's expectations. You begin to realize how much of your life has been shaped by the desire to be accepted, to be approved of, to be loved in return. You start to see how every choice you made, the career you pursued, the way you dressed, the way you spoke was, in one way or another, an attempt to belong. And yet, even with all that effort, peace never stayed. Because no matter how much you please others, there will always be someone who disapproves, someone who misunderstands, someone who expects more. The truth you eventually face is that you cannot find peace in the world's approval. You can only find it in your own authenticity. The moment you stop living for them and start choosing for you, something inside begins to settle. For the first time, you feel free. Freedom is not loud. It does not announce itself with rebellion or defiance. It is quiet, steady, and deeply personal. It begins when you no longer need to explain your choices to those who do not understand them. It begins when you are able to say no without guilt and yes without fear. Most people confuse pleasing others with kindness, but they are not the same. True kindness does not come from denying yourself. It comes from being honest, from giving what is genuine rather than what is expected. When you constantly betray your own truth to meet the expectations of others, you slowly lose touch with who you are. You begin to forget what makes your heart come alive. You live surrounded by people but feel disconnected from yourself. Choosing for you is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect. The world will always have opinions about who you should be. It will praise you when you fit in and criticize you when you don't. But the voices of others are like echoes. They are loud only when you are empty inside. Once you begin to fill your life with purpose that feels true to you, those voices start to fade. You stop needing permission to live your life. You stop needing validation to know your worth. Peace comes when your actions and your values finally align, when you no longer pretend to be someone for the sake of being liked. The constant effort to be perfect in the eyes of others is exhausting, and the peace that follows authenticity feels like breathing after years of holding your breath. Choosing for yourself does not mean you stop caring for others. It means you learn to care without losing yourself in the process. It means you can love deeply while still standing firmly in your truth. It means you no longer confuse attachment with connection, when your choices come from clarity rather than approval, your relationships begin to change. Some people will drift away because they were drawn to the version of you that agreed with everything. Others will stay because they were waiting for the day you became real. You start to attract peace where once there was chaos, honesty where once there was pretense, and that is how choosing for yourself becomes an act of love for you and for everyone who truly values your presence. The beauty of this realization is that it does not require you to change the world. It only requires you to return to yourself. You stop measuring your worth through achievements or attention. You no longer chase meaning in comparison. Instead, practice. You wake each morning and ask, what feels true to me today? That question alone has the power to transform your life. Because when you live from that place, from your inner truth rather than the world's expectations, you begin to move differently. Your steps feel lighter, your mind clearer, your heart calmer. You discover that peace is not something you find out there. It is something that begins the moment you choose yourself without apology. So when the world tells you who to be, smile gently and remember they see you through their own lens, not through your truth. You do not need to convince them, compete with them, or become them. You only need to live in alignment with the voice within, the one that has always known the way, even when the world tried to silence it. That is where real peace begins, not in being perfect, not in being accepted, but in being authentic. When you choose for you, everything that once controlled you loses its power. You stop chasing meaning and start creating it. And in that stillness, you finally find what you were searching for all along, a life that feels like your own.